Right, there we go. Maybe I've got all the bugs wrinkled out of OBS. I've spent the last, let's see, hour trying to figure out all the OBS things, and that's fine. But at least I'm live, so that's good. What does work? This is a slightly lower quality camera, but that's okay. So my face right now is on my MacBook, and that's good, right? Because then that means I can do this, and this is amazing. I love it. So today we're gonna do. I'm gonna be pulling some keys off of this keyboard, put it on the Lily so I can test it out. It's not cannibalism, although I did title it that, but it's fine. So, just to explain for a second how I got here, right? On macOS, right? So I'm running this on a Mac. That's one thing. On macOS, there's no way for OBS to natively get desktop audio. That's fine. So there's no way for macOS to do that. So there are some plugins, and I was using them. I used one called Black Hole, right? And I was testing out with it, and the audio quality that I was getting back was really, really bad. It did work. It did get OBS to get the audio, so it worked, but it wasn't good. So instead, I didn't do that. And the reason why you're hearing background music, I hope you're hearing background music at least. It's literally just playing on my iPad. So hopefully that's being picked up by the microphone and you can hear it, because I don't want to not have background music on the stream. Also, I did look it up, and I can use this on stream because it's copyright free. That's great. I'll just be talking, so that's fine. But let's pull out the Lily. So, to explain what I've been doing with this. This is the Lily. And these are the switches I'm going to put in it. On Black Friday, I bought a set of DSA marshmallow switches. Which do look really, not marshmallow. Was it marshmallow? No, it wasn't marshmallow. It's milkshake. I bought some milkshakes. I bought myself some milkshake. So, did that on Black Friday, so they should be getting here at some point soon, I hope. That's the final keycap set for this. And it's DSA because it's easier. You don't have to, because this is a weird shaped keyboard, all that sort of stuff. Because it's DSA, it's uniform and all that. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit because I'm thinking about 10 things at once. But Calabox Jades, or I don't know how to pronounce that word, but Jades, right? Super cleany switches. There you go. So that's what I'm going to put on these. The last 2 nights, or the last, actually 3 nights, I spent putting Millimex I can't talk today, Millimex sockets on these boards. And I would have streamed that, except I didn't. Too bad. Mostly I didn't just because, it was a really difficult process. If you want to see some pictures, some more close-up pictures of this build process, you can find me on Mastodon. There you go. It actually wasn't that bad. Putting the sockets in wasn't that bad. It's a little time consuming, but it's not terrible. After, let's see. Yeah, so you can't really tell, but there are sockets in there, so that effectively makes it a hot swap board. That's the back. The problem is, and I'm doing this on, so that, if you can see that one of those has a pulled pad. So this is the story. right? One of my friends, when I started putting these in, said, make sure you don't push too hard, right, to get the sockets in, because you could end up pulling out a pad. And I was like, thanks for the advice. And then 5 minutes later, guess what happens? I pulled out one of the pads. So yeah, on the back of this right now I've got a little jump thing. Right now it's just a wire. So I've been messing around with there's a lot of solder on this right now. It still doesn't work. I tried a couple different ways of trying to jump it yesterday, and none of it worked, which is fine. It's fine. At some point I'll figure it out. But of 58 keys, it's one that's broken. So should be okay. And it's on the top row, which means if I count, it's number 8. So worst case, I can like fix that, or get around it until, because also the problem is also I don't have a solder sucker. That's the other problem. So because I don't have a solder sucker, it's really difficult to deal with having a lot of extra solder on a thing, which this now does have a lot of extra solder on it because I was trying to fix it. So maybe I'll just leave it for now, and when I get a solder sucker, I will clean it up a little bit. But before I start, huge thanks to my friend Matt for sending me this. I was going to buy it myself because I wanted to try out a split keyboard, and instead he sent me one because he wasn't using it, and he sent me the switches. So basically Matt is the prime sponsor of this stream. So thanks, Matt. What do I need? Matt also sent me over Discord a build guide for this, which will be very handy. I feel like I've got the hang of the way it comes together at this point, but if I don't, at least I've got a guide for it. So, right. Before I keep going, I'm going to share the link in a few more places because, yeah, no one's here. So, So, anyone in the chat, feel free to ask questions. I should see them because I am looking at. Show us your owie. Did I get? Oh, you mean that? For a second, I thought you meant like I had hurt my hand or something. No. So I haven't cleaned my desk mat, and that's how you can tell, because that is, oh yeah, sorry Z, I thought you were just making fun of me for what you were making fun of me earlier, but no, the broken pad, I showed this off a little earlier, but that actually it might be easier if I do this. So, the funny part is there's also a ton of extra solder on this, but if the camera would focus. Yeah, no, I'm gonna do it this way. So that third pad, you can see the lifted pad, and you can also see a bunch of extra solder on it, especially if you look at it from the back, right? So yeah, there's a little wire there because I tried to do a jump, and that jump didn't work. I'll figure this out later. I've decided to leave it for another time because I just want to get this keyboard built. So it's one. Yes, no, you're absolutely right. And I tried that and it didn't work. That's the thing. That's the rub. I absolutely did try to bridge to the chalk pad underneath it, and it didn't work. And I don't know why. But like, because like you should have seen me last night, because I was absolutely losing my mind last night. Because also, since there's someone in the chat, can you hear the music? Because it's nice background music. What was I saying? Should have seen me last night because I was absolutely losing my mind. Because I tried like 6 different ways of bridging the gap, and that's why there's so much extra solder on this right now, because I tried and it didn't work. So yeah, luckily I don't know what that is. Luckily there are sockets in here, so at the very least I can put the switch in and make it look normal even if it doesn't work. So here's all the pieces, and there's the desk. So I'm gonna see if I can build this from memory, because I think I can. It's not difficult to put together. I might be doing it in the wrong order, but it'll all be fine. But start. Also, this is the funny thing, is because like you don't, any build you do with this, because it's split, you do it twice, so that's good. And also, something I didn't realize until way too late was these pieces, these little bottom plates, they're supposed to go like that. They're literally copies. They're literally 2 copies of the exact same thing. Both of these other parts, because this isn't symmetrical on both sides, it's 2 different things that are just mirror flipped. These are actually the exact same thing, just 2 of them. Yeah. Well, the real answer is not do this on a Mac, because it works better if I'm on Windows. And that's the only time in my life you will hear me say that. I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. It's like, I love Mac most of the time. Just honestly, yeah, but no, just there's less technical limitations on a Mac is what I mean. It's like, because literally the only reason why I can't have desktop audio controlled on here is because of the limitations of Mac OS, right? So I don't know if you saw earlier, but this is the background music, and I have to do it like that because I can't play the background music on my Mac and have the stream hear it, because there's no way to do that on Mac. So that's, yeah, that's me being a nerd. And one of these days I'll just have a Windows machine to stream from, but getting one with this, like, that is as capable as my Mac is also a problem. But yes, got a bunch of screws and a bunch of standoffs. See if I can remember how to do this without looking at Matt's build guide. So standoffs are good because you can screw it in without a screwdriver. Or just make it finger tight. It's fine. Is a credit card for what? And my putting this in backwards. I am putting it in backwards. Let's see. Screw goes in there. Yeah, no, you should have seen me last night, because I was lost. Well, you should have seen me on Sunday night, because that's when I actually broke out. I broke out all the sockets on Sunday night. And I watched a tutorial of how to put in Millimax sockets, and then I promptly forgot how to do it. So I think I put in a couple pairs of them upside down, right? Upside down, in the wrong direction, and that's great. But no worries there. Luckily, I didn't solder them in upside down, because like I just put them in and thought, oh, that would work, and it did. Like, you don't need to solder. It's flush enough that you don't need to solder them down for it to actually work. Like, right? Well, I'm about to have even more of a learning experience when I actually try to figure out how to jump that pad. But no, I didn't solder them down, because with the sockets, when you put them in, they're flush enough that they will close the circuit, but they won't stay there, and that's the difference. Yeah, I agree, but also, do I really want that much shame on the internet? But no, it's fine. Number 3. I'm excited to get this build going, though, because this is my first VIA. Is it VIA? It is VIA. This is my first keyboard that is compatible with VIA, which is a pretty big first for keyboard people, I guess. But it's useful because I can plug it into VIA and have a actual like key tester, make sure every switch works. I guess I should also probably, when I get the switches in, I'll test all the switches first before screwing in the bottom plate, just in case I need to resolder anything on the bottom. But I trust that I didn't fuck this up too much. But we'll see. There's screw number 4. Yep. Archiving is not. Archiving what? Oh, I'm recording this right now, and I will post it on my YouTube when we're done. So I've been recording it since the beginning. I mean, no, my plan all along was when I stream, I'll record the VOD and post it on YouTube when I'm done. But I want it to be on YouTube instead of here because that's higher. I don't know. Because I have other stuff on YouTube. But I just remember how this is done. So, gotta put the long standoffs on that side. Using the short screws. Right. The Lily it's a really cool board, and it's not super obscure, right? Because I can search. I did not Millimax the controllers. The controllers were already in. They're hard soldered in. Although I could have, because like whenever I do other builds, like other stuff, when I make payloads for school and stuff with Arduino, it's basically standard procedure to put header pin sockets on it, so you can have the socket on the proto board, and have the little header pins on the Arduino and just slot it in, because that way it's not, the Arduino isn't hard soldered into the board, which is useful because Arduinos are valuable. So you don't want to like ascribe it to one payload for the rest of its life. And this, yeah. But in this case, this controller is basically, it's going to be part of this keyboard for the rest of its life. And I'm okay with that. Also a funny thing that was happening. One funny thing that was happening on, this was my train of thought. Oh, yesterday when I was testing this out, so this is the right side board, and I plugged in the cable on here to test out some of the switches just to make sure I was soldering it right. And on the switch tester, it would show up as the left side key, which originally I thought, that's weird, I'm going to have to reprogram that. And then I realized that's normal, you're supposed to plug it on the left side. So that was a learning experience. Anyway, got these and that. So the way you're supposed to do this, and this is obvious for everyone else, but not for me. The way you're supposed to do this is, before putting it on the PCB, put some of the switches in the corners. It's like 2 or 3 of them. And then put it into the PCB. You know, I also found, because I didn't have tweezers for the longest time, and now I now have these tweezers, which I stole from actually a nail care kit. But I didn't have tweezers for a long time, and if you don't have tweezers, but you have a 3305 socket or any sort of Millimax socket, you can use it to straighten out a bent leg, if you're really careful. So yeah, that's 3 corners, and then if I push it, right. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do it this way, but it's a good way to get the plate aligned. Because now it's, right, now it's aligned a little bit. Yeah, I need to get it. There's a bunch of things I need to get that I just don't have because I don't have money. But, and one of them is a better switch puller, because I'll show you my switch puller. This is my current switch puller. And guess what? It's terrible. It's the one that came with my K8. Right, so better switch. Yes. Z, if you watched my video where I switched out the switches on my K8 for the T1s, I used this switch puller, and I complained halfway through that my hand hurt. I wonder why. So I have one on my list. Like, I want to get the Rama. Dropped a switch. This is what I get. This is what I get for talking while building. No. I want to get the Rama switch puller because it's good. Or it looks good. So at some point I need to get a switch opener and some lube. Because every hobby uses lube in some way. Somehow. That's going to get me demonetized. But I need to get lube. I need to get a switch opener. Actually, a good tweezer kit would probably be a good idea. But you can sort of survive without those things, right? If you have a basic switch puller, you can survive. The thing that I decided to spend money on was my really nice soldering kit. Because it was nice. And it's useful because, like, I feel like not being able to solder at all is a bigger problem than not having a good switch puller if you have a basic switch puller. Yeah, variable temperature, but I leave it at like 650 or something Fahrenheit, but which is like 300 something Celsius, but yeah. Let's see. absolutely do love the sound of the jades. They're very nice. That's good. So yeah, I'm gonna put a switch in there, but it's not gonna work. But I'm just gonna put it in it because either way, I want it to look good. Or maybe not, because there's actually, I remember this now. I remember what I did. Crimes against humanity. That socket has solder in it. I don't know why I did that. But because of that, I can't get a switch in there. It's not going to go all the way in. So I'm just going to leave it empty for now. Yeah. Worth noting at least that this is temporary. Like, I'm going to steal some of these keycaps to put in here, just so I can test it out. But I'm waiting until I get my DSA milkshake. I'm just hoping, because I'm on a college campus, all of my mail goes to the mailroom. And I'm hoping that I get the milkshake before the end of finals week, because I'm going home after that. So if it's not there by then I'm going to have to wait until next year when I'm back on campus. But should be fine. I don't think Novel Keys doesn't ship that slowly. They shouldn't, at least, but perfect. Yep. I was talking with Steve about the solder last night, and I have 0.5 millimeter solder, so it's not super thick. And it seemed like the perfect width to solder the sockets on. So it's not, at the very least, it's not thicker than the width of the pad. Yeah, you can tell I'm not used to streaming because it's only been 30 minutes and my throat already feels dry. Yeah, it's like I'm a podcaster or something. Let's see. Yep. You're not alone, Z, in disliking the noise, because the reason why Matt sent me this board, this set, and these switches was because they were ones that he wasn't going to use, which I'm completely okay with. Like, I'll take that, because I at least want to try it, but I have not gotten a solder sucker yet, and that's kind of the problem. But it's fine. For that one, I'll come back to it maybe when I have a solder sucker. And there's probably one I can borrow back at home when I'm home over the holidays. Yeah. Let's see. No, I don't have a solder sucker. There's probably one at home that I can steal when I'm home for the holidays. Also, with I type B with the right hand too often. Not all the time. Like, I switch back and forth. But that's going to be a problem. And I'm hoping maybe using this board will just train me out of it. Or I'll type super slowly on this board, which is also fine. Sounds nice. Sounds nice. Yep, like a clicky switch. My first Switch, actually, the Switches that came in the K8 were Gap Blues. Not even like the new style ones, the old, the original Gap Blues. And compared to these, the clickiness of the Gap Blues is nothing. Whereas this is a real nice thingy. Yeah. Well, so this is a little key tester I got on AliExpress, and I have an assorted set of switches in here, and I've written down on a postcard what each one is, and these 6 on the top are all linears, and most of them are ones like samples that Matt sent me. Matt is basically the sponsor of this stream at this point. But this one in the middle is a Zeal PC Roselio. And of all of these, it's the nicest feeling, right? And thinking that, I went online and looked up the listing for these to see if I could get some. And maybe it was just the listing I saw, but I think there was a couple listings that had similar prices. It's over $1 per Switch, which is like, okay, with how nice this feels, that makes sense. But yeah, it's just $1 per Switch is a lot when you're used to paying like 35 cents per Switch. So, but I don't know. At least 35 cents per Switch is what I got the T1s for. So. Oh yeah, other casualties of the broken pad is, almost definitely can't see that, but I've got, yeah. When I have a solder circuit, I might be able to fix this, but it's also just, I've got solder in the, I've basically soldered a couple of of the sockets to the switches, which is a really stupid thing to do, but I did it. So, right. Luckily, I have a few more jades than I need, so that's fine. Right. The only problem, because I like clickies, well, so the tutorial I watched said you can do either one. You can slot it in or put it on the legs of the switch and then put it in. My procedure was to put it on the legs and then put it in, but the tutorial said always put the switch in and then turn it upside down with the switch in and solder it like that, because there's good reason for it. Because then on the bottom side, when you're soldering it in, if you do get solder in there, you'll be able to tell very easily because the switch won't come out. But you can fix that because the sockets will be soldered down, and so you can just like heat up the socket on one side and pull out the switch until it pops out, right? And then pull out that socket because you know there's solder in there now and put it in a different socket and try again. But you have to be really careful with it. And that worked for me. I did basically all of the, once I finally got the hang of it and wasn't fucking things up, I got all of the switches in that way. And in some cases, I had to basically just put the iron on the socket and push it in until it went in all the way. Like I didn't push hard, but because this is a desoldered board, right? Because Matt had to like desolder the jades out of it in order to give it to me. But besides that, it was fairly smooth. And the left side board was really smooth compared to this one. Yeah. I don't know, Z, how would you do it? Because, like, it seemed like one of the easiest ways to get it down. Morning, Jez. Thanks for joining. Earlier I told the story of how I fucked up this pad. And yeah, so that's what Steve, because when I was talking to Steve while I was doing this, he asked if I was taping it down, and I said no, I just leave the switch in. And I'm sure that's more dangerous for the switch, but it's like, yeah, you can expect the sockets, and sometimes you can see if there's solder in there, but like, if you can take the switch out, you know for a fact that it's not screwed up, right? Like, yeah, well, yes, but if you do it like how I do it, you can take the switch out, you know it's fine, and then it'll all work. To be fair, these switches already weren't clean because they were desoldered, because they were given to me from Matt. So, let's see. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start by plugging it in before I put the keycaps on it, and this is definitely gonna be backwards. Or what I can do actually. I'm going to plug it into this one so it's not backwards. So, someone periodically reminded me to drink water because my throat hurts. So, let's see. A little upgrade cameo there. I don't usually use Chrome, right? I have to mention that because if I don't, someone will accuse me of using Chrome. I have to use Chrome for VIA though because it doesn't work. Doesn't work on Safari. Well, Z, I'm gonna get you to start a podcast so you can understand what it means to talk too much. I don't know. When I first started making my podcast, I had to get into the habit of drinking something during the recording because otherwise I would not have a voice for the next couple of days, and that's a problem when you talk all the time. But it's also not just water. You can also use like Dr. Pepper. Like, I drink Dr. Pepper all the time. Why are no compatible devices found? Did I fuck it up? Did it get fucked up? Safari doesn't want to risk security. I mean, it's not wrong, but this is also like the same thing that like, this is the same kind of Apple is obsessive about security thing that makes it so that I can't have normal background music on a stream, right? My phone is warm. Wait. Oop. Nope. Also, inaugural moment. It's alive. There we go. So, authorize. Reload. Why? Why? Chrome. It's just not there. Why is it just not there? I just wish, this is the thing, I love Apple, and I'm glad they take security, supposedly, more seriously than others, but at the same time, it's a pain in the ass, right? Especially when I have to, like, audio hijack, right? Audio hijack. When you install audio hijack for the first time, right, you basically have to go multiple layers deep. You have to boot in safe mode, go into do some shit that I did a couple years ago, right? And tell it that no, like, you're doing this on purpose, right? This app will kill you. That whole sort of shit. And it's so annoying. And I get why. Like, I get, like, kernel extensions are scary. But I ought to just be able to sign something that says I'm not an idiot. I know how technology works most of the time, and I'm not gonna fuck it up. And if I do, it's my fault, right? I would gladly sign away Apple support privileges, right, for this sort of stuff. Except, like, I do have Apple Care, but, like, that's hardware support, right? I would gladly sign away software support privileges if it meant my Mac would stop being a pain in the ass about so many things. But that's just me. So on stream, do you guys see the little lines on my screen capture? Because that's not part of the wallpaper, but I think OBS is just capturing that. Now the question is, why the fuck does Chrome not see the lily? Oh, that might be why. The thingy wasn't in all the way. No, it was me, because that little thingy wasn't in. That's why. So connect. Key tester matrix. So very nice. Oh, that's dead. That's a deadie. That's a deadie. We'll get to it later. Now that just doesn't bode well, does it? Neither of those are working. Did I really fuck something up that bad? So I've got 4 dead switches. So that's fine. time to get out the solder. Right, that... My bridge may have killed the ladder. You know, that would make sense. That would make sense. Well, what I can do quickly is just take out the... It's a mess, it's fine. Do I want to do this all this way? I can do it. I'm fine. I'm fine. Take out the little wire that I... The little wire right there. That's a failed bridge. So I probably should have taken that out in the first place, but I didn't. Shovel. Time to get out the soldering kit. Soldering kit lives just off camera. Not because it can't be on camera, but because I don't have room. But this is where it gets real fun, because now I'm using solder. I need to open the window first of all. There we go. That's the window. And then I need to turn on this fan. But I don't want to put it on the desk because that would cause noise. So instead, what I think I'm gonna do is just fuck everything up. I'm just gonna. This is the background music. Very professional. Moving things around a little bit so that I can at least have some sort of fan pointed. Ooh, is that in shot? That's in shot. I'm just gonna leave that there. I think that works. Some sort of fan. So, you're gonna hear fan noise. I'm sorry. Hopefully it's not that bad. I don't know. If the wind noise is that bad, let me know, because I can't hear it. But mostly it's pointed at me. I'm gonna feel it. How does Mike do this? He's on stream, because he probably doesn't have a fan running on stream. I'm also just paranoid, because I'm in a dorm, and the smoke detector is right there. So, it's fine. Yeah. OBS do VST plugins? Probably. OBS probably does do a lot of different types of plugins, but I'm not super experienced with it. Because there was one plugin I was using before the stream to try to make it work, and it was called Black Hole, but the stream quality the audio quality I was getting back was really bad, so I ended up not using it. If anything else, even if you can't hear it, the background noise is for me. You're welcome. So. Right. So I need to unsolder that. Right. So I need to unsolder this little thingy. I don't have a solder sucker, so the plan is unsolder one side, pull it up, and then once it's up, unsolder the other side and just pull it out. I don't have a solder sucker, so it's going to be a little messy, but make sure everything's good. I've got wind, so smoke should be fine. Windows open, nothing's in the way. I have solder. This is the solder, by the way. I bought my soldering station and this solder on Adafruit. Because for personal projects I buy a ton of crap on Adafruit, but 0.5 millimeter. So yeah. God kills a kitten when people do what? Not use solder suckers? Because, like, sorry, I'm poor. About to see how dexterous I'm not. So. Where is it? Oh, also, here's a story. For some reason, my dumb ass thought that wouldn't be hot one time. Specifically last week. So I put my hand on it and burned myself. It wasn't a bad burn. What? Am I not supposed to say that on stream that I burned myself on solder? I feel like everyone does that. But it's fine. It's fine. Starling, thanks for the follow. I'm really late on that, but Starling is still watching. Probably not, but yeah. What am I not supposed to? Do you just not want me to say that I burned myself, or is it a bad thing to say that I burned myself like on Twitch? I don't know. Either way, it wasn't really a burn. It was like it hurt for a little bit. It felt like a burn though, but it was fine. It was fine. The real question is, why is the solder not flowing? But I'm just impatient. What tip am I using? On the tweezer? That. Oh, it's the. I don't have other types of tips. So, pointy. Okay, that's up. That's off the board. Flat. So, why? Heat transfer. But yeah, but I'm just thinking that's only if you're trying to get solder off of something, right? Because you just place it down and it makes it flow faster. But if you're actually putting solder on something, you're going to use the needle tip anyway. Come on. It's off. There it is. Okay, so that's off. I'm worried about why that row would have been killed. Why this, not row, why this column would have been outed. So, like, I'm worried that I did something worse to screw it up. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll plug it back in. You know, Control R doesn't work on Chrome. I think I would know that by now. Still dead. Yeah, that's a bigger problem. And it worries me because I don't really know. Oh, can't see it. There it is. Yeah, nothing. Yeah, this is that's an issue. That's an issue, isn't it? It's just slightly worrying. Yeah, I'm just really worried that I burned something out in such a way that I'm just gonna have to get a replacement PCB. But here's what we're gonna do, for now, at least. We're just gonna do it on the left board. I'm gonna leave the right board for now, because the left board, yeah, just how much work is that? Because, like, this is the thing. I took out this wire, so theoretically there shouldn't be, oh, where is it? That one. So theoretically there shouldn't be anything else causing this column to be dead, right? That entire column. Yeah, 8 legs. Yeah. I mean, I have like a multimeter with continuity. Like, that's how I test a lot of stuff. No, I don't know. It's always that thing. Like, you can't be too angry about it because anyone who builds anything knows this from experience, that no build ever goes out the way you want it to, at least not first try. But yeah, but it's also just not fun to have to deal with shit like this. Not all the time. To be fair, this is why I do software, right? Because for school, I do really cool projects. Stuff that, like, we build payloads that go on weather balloons that they fly up in the atmosphere and we get, like, data, like high atmospheric data, right? And we have teams to work on this stuff. And there are teams who, like, one team does the hardware, someone does the electronics, someone does the embedded software, and I almost always do the embedded software. And that's partially just because I sort of volunteered to do it because in a group of mechanical and aerospace engineering majors, there's not a ton of people who know or want to do software. So because of that, someone who is willing to do it is invaluable. So because of that, you know, this is why I have a little bit of experience with solder and stuff, because I do the electronics, and I know I'm in the right place because I've had a little bit of experience with, well, say a little bit of experience. I recently started soldering stuff, right? So this wasn't my first time soldering something, but it's almost. But no, I embedded systems and stuff, and this is the joke is this is why I do software, because if you fuck something up like that on software, assuming it's not on production, you have an undo button, right? I don't have an undo button, and that's frustrating. It's fine. We'll figure it out, though. So, you say there are parts. Can I just buy a replacement pad instead of bridging it? Oh, so is that what happened? You think I burned out a whole row of diodes? That would make sense. I'm glad I'm streaming this, because this is going to be a hard issue. At the very least. So, moving on to the left board. Because that one shouldn't be messed up at all right now. Where my switches go? Oh yeah, actually no, that's a good idea. I have a multimeter. I can test continuity along that. I also bought this on Adafruit. Bunch of things on Adafruit. And it's telling me the battery's almost dead because my multimeter has been on for 24 hours. That's fine. You know, maybe this is what this means, but for a long time, there we go. For a long time, I thought battery leakage meant that there was actually fluid leaking out of the battery, which is more concerning. But yeah, luckily these have replaceable batteries. So you can't run voltage through the diode backwards. That's why it's a diode. Red is hot, so red goes on that side. There's something there. There's something. Look at that one. So I'm getting something, right? I'm getting voltage across it. Or not voltage. I'm getting something across it. So let's see. Just go there. Okay. I'm gonna move on to the right board because this is depressing. Because I changed the name of the stream halfway through because I'm probably not gonna put keycaps on this tonight because I'm just testing it out. But that's fine. It's a good sound though. So that's good there. Here. Okay. So I forgot to put the standoffs on there. That's what I did wrong. That's why it's acting weird. That would have been a smart thing to do. Ugh. Almost lost a switch. This is interesting because this is definitely going to be the longest video I've uploaded to YouTube. So there's a plus. Wait. Why is it not? Okay, there you go. That's fine. And then, boop. Boop. Okay. So you have to remember to put the standoff on it first. Forgot about that. Okay, short screw, short standoff. Why did I leave that there? Yeah, that's fine. So the short standoff, that's okay. So last one. The reason why you want the standoffs in there before you put the switches in. I'm not following the build guide. I think that's obvious. The reason why you want the standoffs in there before you put the switches in is because you want the plate to not, like, hit the PCB. So then you can't get the switches in right. And it keeps it aligned. And then you put a couple switches on the corners before push it in. Yep. Roll out your shoulders. I've been sitting here for an hour. Well, I've been sitting here for like 3 hours because I also had to like set up OBS before this. There you go. You know what just occurred to me? I think if I was any younger, I would not have the patience for this hobby, right? Because, I don't know, when I'm prone to being a serial hobbyist, right? A lot like, I don't know, a lot of people who are in this hobby. But when I was younger, my main hobby was Rubik's Cubes. And my main hobby, well, I don't know. My main thing right now is being a student. But I've gotten a little bit more out of Rubik's Cubes than I used to be. But I figured out if I was any younger and I was doing all of this, I don't think I would have the patience for it. Specifically soldering, right? Soldering is fun, but it's something you have to do slowly. And if any of you would have known me when I was 15 or 16, I did not do anything slowly. So I get into this hobby now because I have the patience for it. And there's no better example of that than the fact that I fucked something up and I'm gonna have to fix it. So, there we go. Yeah, I'm not gonna end up putting caps on this today. That's fine. I'm just gonna plug it in and get it tested out. For anyone just joining, a little update on the left board. So, anyone who's been following, I have a broken pad, which means that switch won't work, right? But I put all the switches in and I tested out. Turns out all of the switches in this column and that one also don't work. And possible it's burnt diode or burnt, I don't know, plethora of things that could be wrong. But leaving it for now. So we're going to the right one. Things aren't going perfect, but that's fine. Let's see. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go to, where's my mouse? There's my mouse. Key tester. Matrix. There we go. And that's it. That's all of the keys. What I'm really tempted to do is set this up to be a macro pad. Because it is column staggered, but I could set this up like this row of 3x3 could just be like a numpad. Make that 0 and make that enter or something, or like make that 0 or something like that. That would work. That would work. You can always set that up with VIA. But yes. So, what else is there to do? Oh, I just discovered something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I didn't. Okay. No, this is the layer button, so if I hold it down, you can actually be able to see it on screen, but you can't read it, but right now it says layer default. And it actually shows as you type what you're typing, but this is the layer key, so if I hold it, it says layer lower, which is useful. I've not actually used VIA yet for anything, so right. Let's see, what else is there to do? What else is there to do? Turn off the soldering iron. because I'm not using it. So now, if only the right one could be like the left one. So it does sound nice though. I like some quickie keycaps. What I also think is really funny is like there are people in the hobby that are like all linears are bad, you should never use linears. And there are people who are like, I hate clickies. I don't like clicky keycaps. And then like, okay, both of you are wrong. My genuine opinion is like this has linears in it right now. And it's really good. Right? It's quiet. Feels nice. It's great. That doesn't mean I always love linears, right? Because sometimes I want it to feel like a clicky, right? And that's fine. And sometimes I want it to be linear, because I actually just got another friend of mine sent me this keycap set, right? And with it, he also sent a set of NK Silk Olivias, which are linear, and they're really nice. And it was actually, I think, my first like set of linears that I had. So I put them in this for a while, and they're weird, right? If you're used to tactiles, linears do feel very weird, because there's no response, you don't know when you've done the thing that you're supposed to be doing, right? Which is like, I guess that's the entire point. But it's just a weird feeling, but it's not bad, right? Especially like those are even, I think those are even quieter than T1s, and so it's nice. It's nice. I will keep doing some. Let's see. I'll keep doing research, or I'll keep looking like for the right board. What's wrong? What can I fix? And what would it take? Is it possible to just buy a single PCB? Because that's all I really need. If I'm going to just replace the entire thing, right? I need to get a new PCB and diodes and controller. Well, actually, I'm just thinking like, here's what I'm thinking. If I was to just buy a whole new PCB to replace this, because I messed it all up, right? I would need to get the PCB and diodes and controller, because that's what's on it right now. The thought that just occurred to me was, what would it take to desolder this controller from this board? And I think the answer is too much, because you can tell from the way this is soldered that it was probably machine soldered, or factory soldered at least. I don't want to do that. Or does this controller actually pop out from? Does it pop out? And no, it doesn't. It doesn't pop out. I'll tell you that right now. Poke yourself. So new PCB, new controller, new set of diodes. But that seems like quite a waste, doesn't it? Because the alternative is, because I just tested these with the, it's that one. I just tested these with the multimeter, and they're responding fine, right? Well, I say responding fine, but I need to stop leaving my multimeter on all the time. Just spoiled. That's why the battery's almost dead. But what I mean by how did these get tangled that quickly? Entropy comes for us all. Take the thingies off. Boop. There you go. So by responding fine, I mean, okay, so if I go to one that definitely isn't broken, which is that one, right, as an example, because that switch works. But put voltage across it. Or not voltage. I'm not. Is that what's messing? Am I burning out these diodes? Now I am paranoid. Now I'm just paranoid. No, I'm not. I'm not burning out these diodes. No, I'm not burning out the diodes. I'm not doing that. By testing continuity. So so that's not burned out, right? If I do that, it doesn't do the beep. And I think that's just because there's a little bit of resistance across the diode. I don't know what that readout means, but something's responding, because when you take it off, right, it does that, which I think it's probably a resistance readout. Yes, it's continuity. It's not voltage, because I keep accidentally saying that, but I'm just speaking the wrong language. But yes, it's continuity. Thanks for the follow, Steve. So if I do that, there's some sort of resistance reading, probably resistance, right? On the screen of the multimeter, right? And if I have steady hands, you can see that fairly constant. So this one, which might be broken, right? Same reading, all the way down that row. Same reading, right? All the way down. Same reading. So it's not the diodes. And that's more worrying, because that entire column is dead, not responding. So this is the rub. New PCB, because like, if it's not the diodes, then what is it, right? Did I burn out one of the paths? Like, I don't know enough about how PCBs work. Like, did I burn out one of the paths, right? Did I do something even more unfixable, right? I just don't know. So what's the threshold? Yeah, I don't know much about multimeters, so that's why. I'm not an electrical engineer, and I haven't taken a lot of these classes yet. To be fair, I'll probably learn about this next semester, because I think I'm taking a class, like, called, like, Mechanics of Materials or something. I'll probably take up a class about this eventually. I'm in Physics 2 right now. Don't judge me. I do software. Hey Steve, while you're here, listen to these switches. Sound nice, right? Like it. One pin of the busted switch and another pin of the switch above. That's smart. That's smart. You know, this would explain why none of my attempts at bridging the pins worked. If I burned something out, that was even worse. Because if I test continuity, let's say, there's a beep. Is that worrying? Because there's no reason why those two should be... Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Because, like, if I touch those, right, the two sides of the MX switch, right, not connected. Not connected. Even though, and you can barely see it, I actually looked it up. So the matrix for the Lily is, on every one of these, you have, so those two on the lower ones are chalk style, and then the upper ones are, like, there's two pairs of MX style that can, like, go, like, either direction. So you can have either one. Oh, you mean, okay, yeah, PCB. Yeah, no, I just don't know enough about this stuff. And the thing is, if I just had the money to buy a new one, I wouldn't have to deal with it. Let's see. Other questions, since there are people here who probably know this. Why do these switches have the thing around the box around the plus sign? Because, like, they don't need to. Does it stop it from wobbling? Does it make it sound different? I don't know. Budge. Yes. Fair. If I learned anything from Tom Scott, it's the art of the budge, right? That's perfect. That makes sense. I actually took one of those apart, I think, yesterday. And I don't know what I expected, but the click mechanism is incredibly simple. It's just a little thing that snaps. And it hits it, and it makes a noise. Obviously, right? Dust proofing would make sense because there's very little separation between the switch housing and the stem. I sound like a professional just for saying that sentence. So, unless there's anything else you guys have any ideas for me to do, I'm going to start wrapping it up. Thanks to Starling and Steve for the new follows. Thanks everyone for keeping me company in chat. If you want to ask a last minute question, I would entertain it. But solder is off. I'm going to close the window because I don't need that noise anymore. So, let's see. If you didn't hear the story earlier, I spent an hour, maybe an hour and a half, or maybe 2 hours. I've lost track of time before streaming because I just gotten back from dinner. Because I live on a college campus and I can't just eat dinner here because I don't have food. I just gotten back from dinner, and also no one was here to appreciate that. No one appreciated that, and I appreciate that. I think it looks cool. What was it? So I spent maybe an hour and a half working, trying to get like the stream stuff working, right? OBS, all that stuff, and I had some bugs, right? macOS does not make it possible to capture desktop audio. Right, there's a way to work around it, I think, which is just capture a screen. Like, you can keep the screen hidden, but have the audio from it. I think that would work, but my workaround is have music playing on an iPad. So it works. The other, like, I used a plugin for it, and it had, like, really bad audio quality. So, yeah. That's tonight's build. Honestly, it's not bad. It's not completely done, right? Because there's still a bottom plate you can put on it and a little window thingy. But I might put it together, but, like, I think it's fine. Honestly, I think it looks good. Split keyboards are weird, right? You know, I never listen to ATP Live, and it's not because I don't want to, it's because I don't think I know how. Like, where do they stream? Do they still have an IRC chat? I don't know. Trash. I forgot that it's Wednesday night and ATP is live. That makes sense. The IRC is live. Thanks for joining, Adam. You joined right as we're wrapping up. That's obvious. My personal favorite is, what was I about to say? Upgrade. dp.fm/snail. Well, that gives me an excuse to see their 404 page. And guess what? It's not a very creative 404 page. They I appreciate the websites that I appreciate the websites that take the time to, like, put a Easter egg in their 404 page, but no. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks Adam for the follow. If you missed it, Adam, this is what I built tonight. In the preceding nights, I put sockets into the little holes, and tonight I put the switches in and tested it out. I did the same thing for the other side because it's a split keyboard, but the other side is having some problems where I think something's burnt out, something's broken. Yes. So, because you missed it, yes, it's half a keyboard. It's one of those where you can have, it's the ergonomic thing. It was sent to me from Matt Vortex, and yeah, I think it's cool. having a little bit of bugs. Also, the keycap set I ordered for it, that'll eventually go like be the permanent installation of this, is not here yet. So that's what's been going on. This is my normal keyboard. This is a Keychron K8. Yeah, and people don't appreciate my clickies. People don't appreciate the clicky keys. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up before I keep rambling forever. I'm glad it worked. I've been going for an hour and 45 minutes. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for entertaining me, and thanks for bearing with my botch. So a little Easter egg of Lo-Fi Girl, so that works. If you want to see what I'm doing on the internet, you can find my projects at skylarblue.net. You can't find me on Twitter anymore. Well, you can, but I don't have any tweets left. You find me on Mastodon at skylarblue@tech.lgbt. And if you know me, you can find me on Discord. Thanks everyone for watching. See you next time. See you around.